and get closer to the basket. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Taught me everything you've given me. I always keep it inside. You're the driving force in my life. Yeah. There isn't anything or anyone that I could be, and it just wouldn't feel right. Never didn't have you by my side. Oh, you were there for me to love and care for me when skies were gray. Whenever I was down, you were always there to comfort me. And no one else can be what you have been to me. You will always be, you will always be the girl in my life for all time. Mama, Mama, you know I love you. Ooh, you know I love you, Mama. Mama, you're the queen of my heart. Your love is my tears from the
Wasn't expecting that, Miles. Happy Mother's Day. I just got emotional thinking about my mommy. I miss my mommy. Happy Mother's Day, Diane DiPrima. Happy Heavenly Mother's Day. And happy Mama's Day to all the mothers out there. Yes, we're celebrating all week. Didn't I tell you, Miles? I want all the mommy songs this week. Yeah, so we're celebrating with you, and I invite you to call if you want to pay tribute to your mom or talk about a thing. It is a Talking Point Tuesday. And one of my talking points is that I want to debunk is that being a stay-at-home mom is easy. Ha, ha, ha. That is the hardest job I ever had in my life. After I was laid off from the Steve Harvey Morning Show, laid off, is that what we call it? Fired? Whatever. Laid off, that sounds better. Whatever it was. That's when I got pregnant with my child. And I had this idea that I never wanted to leave him with anybody. So I was going to stay home as long as I could. I was doing some work from home, but mostly pretty much there was a period of time where I was a stay-at-home mom. And it was so hard. There's no breaks. There's no time out. There's no water cooler vacation. So we can debunk that idea. I was so relieved when I went to work for Stevie at that other station that I actually got breaks, and it was way easier. than being a stay-at-home mama. 800-920-1580. Yeah, Morris, I agree. If your mom is still with us, get them some flowers right now. So yeah, I'm on my Mother's Day. I'm on my Mother's Day vibe. And but there's a lot of other things to talk about. I was laughing yesterday because after I said I finally found something I agreed with Donald Trump about, which is the film tariffs. Oh my, Hollywood went crazy. And a lot of people were saying this is terrible. It could basically bring the whole industry to a halt. And a lot of people disagreeing with me. But it's interesting to me that there are some who are saying, well, let's see what this could do. And I found it so revealing how alarmed the British were. The UK is just, their whole panties are in a bunch, like saying, oh, well, our entire film industry could die. Well, that means you're over-reliant on us. How come you guys don't hire American actors? And they were saying, and producers and writers, and they were saying, talking about in The Guardian about how much Hollywood has invested in British talent, facilities, and films because it's part of their business model. So can we get that same investment in the Black and Latino communities around our creative projects, film projects, TV projects? I know it's gotten better over the years, but we could still do a lot better. To me, it's a bit of a wake-up call to see how much the film industry itself has allowed that money to go outside and those jobs to go to Canada, Belgium, the UK. And Fahima, my friend Fahima, pointed out to me that this could hurt Black film festivals and Black filmmakers. And I don't think so. I mean, it could be problematic if you're an African filmmaker, Nollywood or something, and you're trying to import your films here. I don't know how much business Nollywood films do here, but most Black American filmmakers are shooting their projects here. And there is a difference between runaway production and filming on location. And what I mean by that is if the film is set in Africa, i.e. Black Panther, that's a film, or you're making a film where the actual script says that the thing is taking place in Ireland, then that's different. That is an on-location film, not a runaway production. In runaway productions, they're shooting streets of LA in Vancouver. And so clearly there should be a formula created to distinguish between on-location and runaway production. They do it now. There's no reason they couldn't do it. And it's interesting because tariffs are costs that are passed on to consumers. Tariffs, sorry about that. Tariffs are costs that are passed on to consumers. However, in this case, it's being used to try to shut down the whole production from even coming in. It may not be the best way to do it, but like I said, it's time to do something big and bold to save Hollywood production. I also think it's really, really smart. And yeah, I'm with you. Most of us are not feeling our governor right now because he seems to be, I'm not going to say tacking right. He's lurching to the right in his quest for the presidency. But he said, hey, let's do a film tax credit. A $7.5 billion federal tax credit is what the governor of California is proposing. And it's a tax credit that's supposed to help the entertainment industry. And I love that because if you're freaking out about tariffs, here comes our governor with a counter proposal. But it has to be something big and bold. It can't be just the city of LA or the state of California struggling to keep these projects here because they are projects, jobs, revenue that impacts the entire country. Not just Hollywood, not just Atlanta, Hollywood South. And not only New York. The entire country benefits off of our entertainment exports. So the entire country should be propping them up. So good on the governor for seizing the day and making this proposal. It would be the biggest government subsidy program ever for the industry. And that's what we need. If the doggone car companies are too big to fail, so is the entertainment business, even more so, because we export so much entertainment and culture. It's one of the things that gives the United States superpower status. Thank you, Black culture. Let's go to Big Phil calling us from L.A. Good morning, Big Phil.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Mother's Day to you. The devil don't sleep. Keep waking up. And you know what? That song we play, Mama, that intruder, my song is the intruder song. We love my mother. Actually, I say my name in there, but Phil and the intruder song. And you know, it's a touching thing. You know, it's a touching thing. You know, it's a touching week. I know what you mean, Dominique, about your mother. I'm glad you got to meet my mom. I had a wonderful mother, beautiful mother.
Say her name. Say her name, Phil.
Huh?
Say your mom's name. Let's.
La Hunter. L-A-J-U-N-T. La Hunter. Yeah, Miss La Hunter Howe. That was my mother's name.
Oh. Happy Heavenly Mother's Day to your mama.
I know. She came to African place. I love you guys, African place. No, let me see another thing. I've been in Catholic Church in years, but you might laugh at this. They're not going to have to get no black priest. It's like a handful of grapes and a million white men. It's not going to be no black priest. It'll be a miracle. But anyway, I'm going to happy Mother Day, your mother, and it's a touching week for all of us. God bless you. I love you, Dominique. Love you guys. I got to go. Bye.
Love you more. Thank you for calling, Big Phil. I understand what Paul is saying. It's the same thing he called in and said. And by the way, if you want to call me, it's 800-920-1580. Or you can jump on youtube.com and go to KBLA 1580 because they're doing it in this comment section right now. You're right. He says they're not going to invest the money into the community. That is true. However, just forcing studios to produce here in the United States or incentivizing them, I like that even better, Governor Newsom. I prefer carrot over stick any day. That does bring jobs back. And it's not just movie star jobs and director jobs. It's all of those surrounding services, the hairstylists, the makeup artists, the food caterers, the shoe shiners, the dry cleaners, all of those folks that profit off of those big productions. So it doesn't matter what they do. What we need to do is keep the productions here instead of letting them run over to Canada. And I understand what you're saying. The pushing our allies away is dumb. It's going to keep isolating our country. I'm not for that. There's a way to keep our production here without isolating or, it's going to anger Britain, but it's not our responsibility to subsidize your film industry or Canada's. You don't have to be like our current president and try to make, annex them into part of our country or disrespect them, undermine them. That's a little different than we're going to keep our film production here in Los Angeles, Atlanta, New Mexico, New York, or wherever it might be. It's not the same thing, but I understand your point. And the other thing, which a lot of people were on me on social media yesterday, is that just because the president says that's the goal or says that's what he's going to do, this was reportedly John Voight's idea, and that guy is, he's a rabid conservative, a very illogical one, in my opinion. But what he says and what he does are two different things. There's no doubt about that, almost always. However, I'm going to stick with what I said, and I do believe this, even though some of y'all are mad at me for agreeing with the president for once, is that something big, bold, and serious has to happen to get these studios to stop fooling around and bring their product back home. Manufacturing may never come back from China. That might not be realistic. We might not be making iPhones here, but we can make movies here. There's no reason we can't. 800-920-1580. You'll never work in this town again, Dominique. Okay. Well, look, show me the reasons why I'm wrong. I'm always here for that. Show me the reasons why I'm wrong. Show me the reasons why your idea is better. That's what we do around here. It's conversation, dialogue. It's always evidence-based. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for Unapologetically Progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
You really about to do it? 40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Curran Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Curran Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. DA Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Yeah, so it's Mother's Day, but everybody's talking about a father. We haven't had a chance to talk about it this week. His name is Rodney Hinton Jr. from Ohio. And allegedly, he's been charged with aggravated murder. He's being held without bond. The video of him walking through that courtroom, which is packed with police officers, with his head held high and defiant, is beyond viral. And for some, it's like a Luigi Mangione because this father is accused of killing a sheriff deputy with this car the day after his 18-year-old son was murdered by police officers, gunned down. And so a lot of people are making him out to be a hero in the sense that you kill my child, an eye for an eye. Allegedly, an eye for an alleged eye, and because he hasn't been convicted, he's been charged. And I understand that reaction. There are some reactions like you remember, or if you don't remember, maybe you're too young, but you can read about it or you've heard about it, the reaction when O.J. Simpson was found not guilty by a jury, which many regard as jury nullification. When we get to a point where we are fed up with a terrible situation in society, there can be a reaction which you might not think is logical, but which is understandable if you look at the totality of what has gone on, right? With OJ, we were tired of police beating, unjustly accusing, and killing black people, just like we are now, but it was in a different level, right? The double standard in the court system where black men could be convicted for nothing. It still is, but it was even worse then. And so the jury made a decision which many in mainstream America did not understand and did not agree with. Luigi Mangione walks up allegedly, because there's lots of people that don't even think it's the same guy. They think, this is the police framing someone to cover up their own incompetence because a real killer got away. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there are a large number of people who think that. But whatever you think, the reason this guy has been canonized as Luigi Mangione, even though he walked up to another human being and murdered them with a gun, allegedly, is because people are fed up with the abuses of the insurance industry and our terrible, awful, very bad healthcare system. That where you spend more, or we spend more per patient than anybody in the world and get worse care. Because the insurance companies are in charge of everything, denying care, telling you what you can and cannot get, what doctors you can and cannot go to. And people who don't have money get no care at all. Die in the streets holding a colostomy bag. That's the state of our healthcare in one of the richest countries in the world. So people have made this Luigi Mangione person into a sort of underground de facto hero, saint. And this is the same thing that's happening with Rodney Hinton Jr. And why, if you don't know the why, you're not paying attention to what happens in Black America. Our children are being murdered. Young people, not just children, old people too. Police in this country have killed 1,000 people per year, no less than 1,000 people, sometimes many more, every single year since we've been keeping track. And a huge and ridiculous disproportionate amount per capita, based on our numbers in the population, are black. No wonder we're fed up. No wonder people can understand why Rodney Hinton Jr. would say, you kill my baby, I take down one of yours. I'm not advocating murder. And you know that I always say you don't get to go up to someone and kill them. That's not what you get to do no matter your cause. And I stand by that. I stand by that. But this has got to stop. If you don't understand why F the Police was an anthem long before Rodney King was a case, then you're not paying attention. If you don't understand the reaction to Rodney Hinton Jr. walking through the courtroom, through a sea of police officers that were clearly there to intimidate him, then you don't understand the dynamic of the way black children, black boys in particular, are under threat in this country. And we're tired of it. Now, I'm not saying, he has a right to kill a cop, and we don't know if he knew that cop or for sure if it was the same cop that killed his kid. But Ryan Hinton was his baby. Ryan Hinton had just turned 18. The official story is that he was armed. I'll believe it when I see it. The official story was that he was running from a stolen vehicle. Once again, even if he was armed, if he was running away, did you have to murder him? Did you have to shoot him in the back? Did you have to mow him down like a dog in the street? Would you have done so if his hair was straight and flaxen? I tend to doubt it. Let's go to Michael calling us from Kansas City.
Yes, good morning, and thanks for taking my call. I live in Kansas City, Missouri now, but I was born and raised in Cincinnati. And this is the police killing side of it is nothing new. You go back the early 2000s, there was a disturbance, aka riot in Cincinnati. After the police, a policeman shot and killed an clearly unarmed black man. No repercussions for the officer. Police, they really have a license to kill there. About 10, maybe 15 years ago, police are chasing somebody through a park, and it's illegal for residents to drive through a park. But a policeman chasing somebody drives through a park, runs over and kills a black woman that is sleeping under a blanket.
Yeah.
The prosecutor, no charges against the officer, and that prosecutor is now on the Ohio Supreme Court. And
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So not only is it you have a license to kill or you have a pass to kill, you get incentivized. You get rewarded, right? It's like that Daniel Cameron character. Oh, you advocate for the murder of black folks, and that's a feather in your cap. That's a way to come up. It's similar to the gangs that we have here in Los Angeles among our sheriff's deputies. You get promoted if you kill, slaughter, beat, and berate us.
Yeah. And, Ohio is a northern city, but it's kind of like up south. Dayton, and it's a phrase I heard somebody. Dayton, a few years ago, black man walking through a Walmart, picks up a BB gun. Somebody calls police. Black man's got a rifle. They come in to kill him.
Yeah.
That's 50 miles from Cincinnati. You name it, it happens all over the state. So this is nothing new, sad to say.
I mean, it is really sad. And I think we have to keep talking about it because this has to stop. We cannot normalize this. This is why I don't like, Michael, the videos playing 24/7 of Black Death porn. It has to stop. This is not okay, and this is not normal. We've got news, traffic, and sports, then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A woman with a prior DUI, Jania Belt, is accused of fatally hitting 18-year-old Braun Levi in Manhattan Beach, California. Black Loyola High School principal Jamal Adams fondly remembered the student who lost his life.
He was the connective tissue to the multitude of friend groups, that he was the bright light always in the room.
Belt was driving on a suspended license from a 2023 DUI case. The University of Kentucky has canceled DEI graduation events, including those for LGBTQ+, Black, and first-gen students to comply with the new state law banning DEI practices. All public colleges in Kentucky must comply by June 30th. And the Today Show is announcing the 30th anniversary lineup for its City Concert Series. The summer lineup includes Ciara, Cynthia Erivo, and more. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron is co-chair of the Met Gala event that took place Monday night in New York, but he was unable to attend. LeBron had to stay home in L.A. because of his injured left knee. LeBron has a grade 2 medial collateral sprain in his knee and is facing a 3 to 6 week recovery. No surgery was required. While keeping his knee propped up, LeBron has more time to think about whether he wants to return for a 23rd season. Clippers president Lawrence Frank said he wants Kawhi Leonard and James Harden to remain a part of the team's foundation for next season. Leonard is 33, Harden turns 36 in August. The Boston Celtics' overtime loss to New York Monday night should be a lesson for all coaches. The Celtics missed a playoff record 45 three-pointers. At some point, Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla should have told his players to stop shooting threes and get closer to the basket. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Attention. If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this?
I didn't think so.
You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
You are, and I'm grateful that you're here. I'm Dominique DiPrima. You might not know that today is World Asthma Day. I usually don't track World this day or World that day, but this is actually an annual event that's organized by the Global Initiative for Asthma. And the idea is to improve our awareness so we can get better outcomes. Of course, as with many such initiatives, it's of particular relevance to the African American and Black American, FBA, whatever you all want to call yourself, community. And so that is why I'm bringing it to your attention today. We will be talking with attorney Carrie Harper next hour. Some breaking news about that sheriff's deputy who was convicted, and now the current Republican administration, is trying to intervene. And we will have Carrie Harper, who is the attorney in that case, here to update us. Looking forward to that conversation right now for next hour. But right now, it is my pleasure to bring in a doctor of pharmacology. She's got a degree from the University of Missouri, Kansas City, worked as a community pharmacist, and then wanted to make an impact on the patient level, facilitating healthcare research and educating not just people, regular folks, but healthcare providers and patients. She is a medical science liaison for Amgen. Dr. Reema Dirks, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for stopping in. It's great to hear from you. Like I said, I don't usually mark, World this day, World that day. But this campaign for awareness around asthma, I feel like it's barely starting to penetrate in the Black community as far as the disparate impact among Black folks compared to others.
Yeah, I have to preface this by really saying that there is no good news here. Compared to white counterparts, Black Americans are 1.5 times more likely to have asthma. Black Americans are 5 times more likely to visit the emergency room due to their asthma. Black Americans are 3 times more likely to die from asthma. And when sex is factored in, Black women have the highest rates of death due to asthma. So I really want to underscore the importance on this World Asthma Day and this month, because when you factor in allergy season and all the danger that it brings, you can only imagine what that means if you are Black and living with asthma.
Yeah, I mean, and I always like to push back on the self-fulfilling prophecy part about our health outcomes as Black Americans or Black people globally. Many times there's other factors, right? We know that environmental racism is real, that we are disproportionately impacted with pollutants, which, make asthma worse. If you're in LA, you're Black, you're likely living near a recycling plant or an oil well, which is shown to have worsened outcomes for asthma. And in some cases, it's a lack of prevention in healthcare, or even the quality nutrition that gives us defenses against these diseases. So it's not like a curse or something like that. There are reasons why our outcomes are worse.
Absolutely. You hit so many of those on the head so perfectly. And we know that the difference in asthma rates, ER visits, and deaths are highly connected with structural racism, poverty, air quality, housing conditions, and poor health care. The California Department of Public Health provides asthma data at the zip code level. So does the website epicentral.com, where you can find an asthma heat map. Within these sites, your zip code literally will tell you what the asthma prevalence is, and you can look to racist federal policies, such as redlining, which denied home loans to Black Americans in certain areas and forced Black communities into poorer neighborhoods. In my old neighborhood in West Oakland, we had an old concrete factory, exhaust from the cargo ships in the bay, 3 different freeways surrounding us, and lack of green space, and like you mentioned, food deserts. I found out later that West Oakland residents are 5 times more likely to be exposed to unhealthy air pollution than higher income residents in the city. And a study found that certain parts of Oakland, up to half of new childhood asthma cases are due to traffic-related air pollution. In contrast, in an Oakland Hills neighborhood, the fraction of childhood asthma from pollution is about 1 in every 5 cases. And this really isn't unique to Oakland. I think you can look to other examples of this all over the country.
Yeah. So I just clicked over there, epicentralmed.com, and I'm on this heat map. What do I do with this? I search it and I say, okay, well, yeah, I live in a in a problem area. I mean, are you suggesting we move? Like, what do we do?
If we had the ability to kind of all move to Hawaii, I think that would be ideal, right? But I don't think it's a death sentence. Asthma is something that you can manage. For example, in this spring allergy season, which is now, trying to stay indoors if you can during the afternoon when pollen counts are high. Things like taking a shower, washing your hair, and changing your clothes after working or playing outdoors, because pollen can actually stick to hair, skin, and clothes. wearing an N95 mask when you're mowing the lawn or doing other outdoor chores. One that I hadn't thought of was avoid hanging laundry outside. I like to do that, and I didn't think about that. Pollen can actually stick to items like clothing. Closing your doors and windows when pollen counts are high. And I want to add that even if it's windy, yesterday here in Oakland, we had unusually high winds. And I knew instantly I was in trouble in the morning with my allergies, because one of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning is open the windows in the house. And as soon as I did that, sneezing, itching, mucus, the high winds yesterday kind of whipped up those tree and plant allergens and really magnified the allergies. I ended up closing all the windows, turning on a fan with an air filter, and when I went for my walk, I waited till the evening, wore sunglasses and N95 mask, which helped.
Wow.
And I think the biggest tip, I think, is if you have allergies and asthma, try to get ahead of it. Don't wait until you experience an asthma attack. Make an appointment to see an asthma specialist and really talk through a plan for your asthma that can help you during this allergy season and beyond.
Okay, so we're planning for it. So many questions about what you just said. If pollen is sticking to my clothes, does that mean that if I do go hiking, I need to come inside and change right away, get out of those clothes? Is that pollen going to keep wafting up into my nose and causing irritation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always tell people one of the best things that they can do for their home hygiene, especially when they have allergies, asthma, is to take your shoes off when you come in the door.
Yes, please.
Exactly. During peak allergy season, you definitely want to do a change of clothes, throw those clothes in the wash. And, I know it's an extra step, but it can be super, super helpful. And I want to mention real quick about triggers. I know I mentioned triggers. A study in the Asthma Journal stated that the average person with asthma has 8 triggers. 8.
So when you say triggers, whether it's pollen or smoke, wildfires, or whatever it might be, each person has a different thing that would set off their asthma. Like they don't all impact every human the same way.
Exactly. So triggers, like you mentioned, can be anything that can worsen your asthma. So you mentioned pollen, pollution. It could be a cold or virus.
Is stress one of those? Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. So heightened emotional states, laughing even. Again, not everyone who has asthma has an asthma attack when they're exposed to cigarette smoke, for example. So asthma triggers vary from person to person. And a person with asthma is especially sensitive to their particular triggers, and their immune system basically overreacts to that trigger.
Okay, well, we're going to continue this conversation with Dr. Reema Dirks, helping you figure out how to make your asthma plan or one for your child or loved one, because it is tough when a family member is having asthma, experiencing it, and we don't know what to do or how to help them. It's World Asthma Day, and we're checking in on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley.
With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Karen Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Karen Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. DA Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
And we are loving on you by giving you important information on this World Asthma Day with Dr. Reema Dirks. Attorney Carrie Harper joins me next hour. Dr. Dirks is a senior medical science liaison of allergy and asthma for Amgen. And you talked about making a plan. It sounds almost like our earthquake plan, our disaster plan, that we have to have something ready for asthma attacks or episodes. Is this sounds like something I would want to have as a mom, wife, sister or brother, or even child of someone with asthma?
Absolutely. If you have asthma, you know that sometimes this progression to breathing fine and having a great day and then not being able to breathe and potentially having to dial 911 is very quick. And it's important that you have a plan in place for you and for your loved ones when that happens. So this is where an asthma action plan comes in. So an asthma action plan is a customized, personalized treatment plan that your doctor provides to you. And it's divided into 3 zones. And we use kind of this traffic light scheme as a metaphor. So green, yellow, and red. And it's individualized to your specific triggers. And we talked about triggers before the break. And medicines also. And it will spell out exactly how to treat your asthma daily, what to do when your symptoms get worse, and what to do when you exercise or you get sick or when you need to call 911. So this is, again, something you can ask your doctor for. It's free. You should make copies, keep this plan at home on the fridge, at school, work, or anywhere that you spend time regularly. And you hit the nail on the head. If you have asthma, you should have an asthma action plan. And if you don't, ask your provider for one, because it's one of the best tools in your asthma toolbox.
Yeah, I when I got married many years ago, my bonus daughter had asthma, and I didn't realize really much about it at all. So when my little new bonus daughter was gasping for air, I freaked out. I did not know what to do.
Sure. Yeah, no, this is exactly why the Asthma Action Plan is in place, because had you had that, you could look on the fridge or wherever you keep the Asthma Action Plan, and you could go to the section where, it says, having trouble breathing, and it will probably be in the red traffic light zone. And if there's any medications you can give, and then it sort of just step by step tells you what you need to do and when to call 911.
Yeah. When it's at that point. Talk to me about where we are in Los Angeles. We've had these widespread fires, and I know the air quality has been poor. Now, we don't smell the smoke in the air anymore, but I'm sure those particles can't all be gone, can they?
Yeah, so first of all, let me just say my heart goes out to all the people affected by those devastating fires. We know that those fires leave an indelible mark not only on the land and the people, but the people that live in LA. The LA wildfires actually coincided with a 16-fold rise in hospital visits and fire-related injuries. And as you mentioned, the smoke's immediate effect really began to dissipate days and weeks after the initial fire, but there's still lingering ash, toxic chemicals in burn areas, and will probably be a long-term public health concerns. And climate scientists are saying these wildfires will worsen over the years and become more frequent, which is why, again, if you have asthma, you should do what you can to prepare now for the next inevitable wildfire.
And what does that look like? I mean, what does it mean to prepare for a wildfire if I have asthma?
Yeah, so, I guess the first thing would be to look at the AQI. So when you know that there are wildfires in your area, the AQI is the air quality index. So levels greater than 101 are unhealthy for people with asthma. Symptoms can worsen even at lower levels of AQI, 50 to 100. So really check out your weather app. It should have the AQI on there. I know my iPhone does. It just has it in there. So just as you're looking for if you need a jacket or not, you can actually look to see if you're going to need an N95 mask that day or if you just need to stay indoors. The American Lung Association, as well as airnow.gov, those are great sites that you can get. I know with airnow.gov, you can also get notifications on your phone. So just, again, making it a habit to check the AQI along with the morning weather can really go a long way.
And just planning your day and maybe staying in or whatever you might be able to do in that, prevention toolkit. What else do we need to know? Here's a thing that I was wondering. If so many of my friends are saying, oh, it's allergy season, I'm really feeling bad. How do we know when it's just allergies and when we might actually have asthma? I'm guessing there's a lot of people walking around that have it and don't even know it.
Yeah. So, I always tell people that the more, of course, I'm a pharmacist. I believe in evidence-based medicine and data. So I think the more data and the more evidence you can get on yourself is the best thing that you can do. So when you're noticing symptoms, track it in a little journal, a notebook, and, you can put it on a calendar in your phone, what have you, to collect this data on, I went outside today for my walk and I walked past some oak trees and I had an allergic reaction. I came home, washed my face, took a shower, and I felt a little better. Notice maybe you had tightening in your chest or you start coughing. These are all little clues that your doctor can sort of put together if they have some sort of data to go by. The website luma-edu.com, you can actually download a printable journal that you can help you track your symptoms and the day, and you can take all of this information to your doctor and they can help you make a plan and potentially get a diagnosis of asthma.
Okay, well, we just have a few minutes here, and what are you determined to let folks know today on World Asthma Day? As long as we have you in, Dr. Reema Dirks.
Thank you so much for the time today. I would tell your listeners that they have the power over their health. Anything that you can do, again, to collect data on yourself, feel empowered, and fiercely advocate for those you love, for yourself and your community. That's probably the best thing that you can do. Again, you can visit luma-edu.com for a lot of other resources that you can share with your community.
I noticed they have a theme every year for World Asthma Day, and it seems like this year's theme is about inhalers or inhalants. Talk to me, why, and what is it that we need to know about that?
Yeah, so inhalers, there are a variety of inhalers that you can get from your physician. And really, I think the most important thing, again, as a pharmacist, is to take these inhalers as prescribed. Some of them are going to be your short-acting inhalers, so your rescue inhalers to rescue you from an asthma attack. Some of them you're just going to have to take every day to manage your asthma and keep the inflammation at bay. So I liken it to brushing your teeth every day to prevent cavities. You're going to, some of those inhalers, depending on which one you get from your physician, you're going to use every day to prevent asthma attacks. Again, that theme of staying ahead of it. So really just paying attention to the directions on your inhaler and taking those medications as your doctor prescribes is the best thing you can do.
And what about preventive nutrition? Are there things, I mean, I know my bonus daughter was encouraged to avoid dairy. Are there things that asthmatics and folks being triggered by the pollen and wildfires should do nutritionally?
You know, I think that's really a decision that your doctor needs to make, and especially an allergist. So if you see a specialist, like an allergist, they can really help make that determination on nutrition. If there are things that you need to avoid, we know that people sometimes who have asthma and allergies also have food allergies, so environmental allergies versus food allergies. So sometimes that the Venn diagram can overlap. So it's really important to have that conversation with a specialist.
Again, it sounds like it's about going to the doctor and making a plan. If I don't have a doctor, can I go to a clinic? Can I go to, are there, other ways to get this plan together?
Yes. Yeah. So, you can find examples of the Asthma Action Plan on different websites like the American Lung Association, the Allergy Asthma Foundation of America. However, the plan does need to be made by a healthcare provider. So it would be like a nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, anybody who's licensed to prescribe medication can help you with that.
Oh, well, Dr. Reema Dirks, thank you so much for joining us today and helping us learn more so we can be safer. Tell us those websites one more time.
So for asthma education, it's Luma, LUMA-EDU.com, and you'll find all the different resources that I talked about on that website. All
right. It's great stuff. Hope you have a wonderful, easy breathing rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Dominique. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure to talk with you. Attorney Carrie Harper is next. Oh, we've got some breaking news around here. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A woman with a prior DUI, Jania Belt, is accused of fatally hitting 18-year-old Braun Levi.
To the multitude of friend groups, that he was the bright light always in the room.
Belt was driving on a